Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready to explore something new. What are we tackling today?
Well, we're going to get into something I think we've all experienced, and that's blame. You know how it is, project goes south, personal goal fizzles out, boom, we start pointing fingers.
Oh, yeah, that blame game. Definitely familiar territory.
But what if, and stick with me here, that blame game is actually holding us back? We're diving into this really fascinating article today that breaks down the hidden costs of blame and, get this, offers a more empowering way forward.
Sounds intriguing. What kind of costs are we talking about?
Well, prepare to have your mind blown. We're talking about how blame impacts not only your relationships, but also your ability to learn and solve problems.
Okay, color me intrigued. Let's get into it.
So one of the first things that really jumped out at me in this article is how blame erodes responsibility. It's like our default setting to protect ourselves from any discomfort.
That's a great point. It's so much easier to deflect than to face the music, so to speak.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, isn't there a difference between taking responsibility for our actions and accepting blame for everything that goes wrong? I mean, sometimes things really are out of our control.
Oh, absolutely. That's a key distinction. It's not about taking the fall for everything, but recognizing our part, even if it's a small one, in any situation.
I see what you mean.
And that's where the growth comes in, right? It empowers us to see where we could have done things differently, made a different choice, communicated more effectively.
So it's more about, like, agency. Instead of feeling like we're stuck on a runaway train, powerless to change anything.
Precisely. It's about ditching that victim mentality, that feeling that we're just along for the ride, at the mercy of everything around us, instead of being active and shaping our own lives.
That actually reminds me of something. Think about how frustrating it is when someone constantly blames us for things. Talk about tension and resentment, right?
Ugh, yeah, not a fun experience.
And that's exactly what this article dives into, how blame can really wreak havoc on relationships.
It's a recipe for disaster. Think about it. Blame creates this constant dynamic of defensiveness and distrust. Instead of feeling safe and supported, you're walking on eggshells, always waiting for the next accusation.
It's like that feeling of tripping over the same step over and over again. But instead of watching where you're going, you just keep blaming the step. Except this time, the step is a person.
Haha, great analogy.
It's a cycle of failure. You're not learning from your mistakes because you're so busy finding someone or something else to blame.
It's the definition of insanity, isn't it? Doing the same thing repeatedly, but expecting a different result.
And you know what's even crazier? This article argues that blaming others can actually backfire when it comes to our self-esteem. Sounds a little counterintuitive, right?
Yeah, at first glance, we might think blaming others protects our ego, but over time, it actually chips away at our self-worth. By refusing to own our part in things, we're kind of sending this message to ourselves that we can't handle challenges, that we're not capable of learning and growing.
So what's the alternative? I mean, what if we took all that energy we usually spend blaming and channeled it into finding solutions?
Now you're talking. Imagine the possibilities if we shifted our focus from blame to collaborative problem solving. We could create this whole culture of accountability where mistakes are seen as opportunities for growth, not something to be feared.
I love that. And that's what I love about how this article reframes failure. Instead of being this big, scary thing, it becomes a chance to learn something new, to become more resilient.
It's about embracing that growth mindset, right? Failure is just feedback. It helps us tweak our approach, develop resilience, and eventually we achieve greater success because of it. But that blame, it robs us of those valuable lessons.
It's like choosing to sit in the dark when we have the power to flip the switch and light things up.
Aha! Love it.
And it makes me think about how blame breeds negativity. It's like a breeding ground for anger, bitterness, all that heavy stuff.
It really is. But a solution-oriented approach, that's where we find positivity, resilience, and a sense of empowerment. It's the difference between feeling defeated and feeling motivated to get back up and try again.
It's like, okay, so I messed up, but now I'm going to learn from it and keep going.
Exactly.
And something else the article highlights is that, well, life is messy. Things aren't always black and white.
Definitely not. And trying to pin success or failure on just one person or one event, that's an oversimplification.
It is. There's so much nuance, right? But blaming, well, it skips over all of that and just keeps us from seeing the bigger picture.
It sure does.
So if we want to really achieve lasting success, it seems like accountability, resilience, and self-improvement are key. And, well, blame just kind of throws a wrench in all of that.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Blame might feel good for a minute, But in the long run, it prevents us from developing the habits and mindset that we need to thrive.
So how do we escape this blame trap? How do we shift to a more empowered way of thinking about things?
The key is cultivating accountability. It starts with being honest with ourselves about everything, even the things we wish we'd done differently.
So some serious self-reflection.
Exactly. Ask yourself the tough questions. What could I have done differently? What can I learn from this?
Okay, so we're owning our part. What's next?
Next, we shift gears from dwelling on the problem to finding solutions. Brainstorm. What concrete steps can you take to make things better?
Love that. And we don't have to do it alone, right?
Absolutely. This is where your support system comes in. Talk to trusted mentors, friends, family, share your experiences, ask for advice, and build that network to help you navigate the tough stuff and celebrate the wins.
So we've learned today that blame is like this sneaky little virus spreading negativity and holding us back from growth.
A pretty nasty bug for sure.
But the good news is we have the power to choose a different path.
And that's what it's all about, right? Making that choice.
So what if, and I know this is a big one, what if we lived in a world where blame was replaced with accountability, where everyone focused on solutions instead of pointing fingers?
Oh, that's a powerful image. Think of what we could achieve together if that were the case.
It's mind-blowing. So here's our challenge for you today. How can you apply these insights to your own life? How can you break free from the blame game and unlock your true potential? It's something worth thinking about. Until next time, everyone.
See you then.